House of Assembly passed the Public Finance Management Amendment Act to 2012 on Thursday, October 11th. And according to Premier Dr. Orlando Smith, the amended act, among other things, will ensure that governments guarantee more openness and fiscal responsibility. The act is a requirement by the Protocol for Fiscal Responsibility between the UK and the Virgin Islands. Walter Barrett has this report.
The Public Finance Management Amendment Act 2012 received its second and third reading in the House of Assembly on Thursday, October 11th. According to several members of the House who spoke in support of the bill and its amendments, the 2012 Act will ensure that there is more financial responsibility, transparency, and good governance from government. The bill seeks to ensure that the guidelines set out by the UK in the Framework for Fiscal Responsibility, now the Protocols for Effective Financial Management, are carried out in government's financial transactions, be it projects, infrastructural developments, or loans. Giving support to the Amendment Act was Minister for Natural Resources and Labour, Dr. Kedrick Pickering, who said the Act stems from the UK's recent struggles in having to deal with poor financial management from such overseas territories as the Turks and Caicos and Anguilla. He said that the BVI must be mindful of the fact that it, too, is an overseas territory and not independent.
There are wider issues that we have to contend with. We must not lose sight of the fact the British government has had to deal with a disaster in Montserrat. That was not of anybody's making. It has cost them dearly. The British government has had to deal with a major problem in the Turks and Caicos Islands that was of their own doing, the Turks and Caicos, I mean. The British government has had major issues with our neighbors in Anguilla. And recently, they've had another set of issues with the Cayman Islands, to the point where they have instituted a finance management committee. The premier of the country, who's a minister responsible for finance, now has to answer to a finance committee that is chosen by the British government. He has no choice. Picked by the British government. He doesn't even have a say in who these individuals are. Let us understand that is the context in which we are here discussing the Public Finance Management Act today. If we lose sight of that, Madam Speaker, then what we are doing is almost academic in the true sense of the word. We are making a mockery of even our very existence in this house here today.
District Representative Marlon Penn also spoke in support of the bill, stating that under the Amendment Act, government will be forced to be more financially prudent while giving the public the opportunity to measure their performance in terms of fulfilling their financial agendas.
It forces us to really look at our finances in a real way, and all the speculation that we do right now, Madam Speaker, will sort of go out the door. I mean, there will still be some speculation that had to happen because, I mean, a budget is just a budget, and you still have it depending on the revenues that come in, but you have a clearer understanding in terms of the direction that you're going as a territory. As far as the projects that you're going to undertake, the kind of economic development that would occur, I think this is important. This is an important section in terms of the whole development of that macro-fiscal reporting that's required. In addition to that, Madam Speaker, the consolidated financial statements, which is under Section C, where the Financial Secretary prepares the consolidated financial statements at the end of each quarter. This also measures whether we're hitting those targets, Madam Speaker, that was set in the medium-term fiscal planning. And it gives the government a sort of a gauge to see where they are and where they need to pull back on some of the expenditures, or probably where they need to push in terms of revenue generation. I think this is a good thing, Madam Speaker. Addition to that, D also outlines where this plan has to be gazetted, meaning that this plan will be out there for public consumption, where the public as well would also grade us as a government, or whichever government that's in power, in terms of their progress based on the things that they state that they will develop or execute within the next 2 to 3 years.
But there were concerns expressed by the opposition, particularly 3rd District Representative Julian Fraser, who said the measures, the protocols, and the amended act imposed on the BVI are wrong. Fraser said that in his view, certain aspects of the provisions need to be renegotiated.
I wish, Madam Speaker, that I could support everything that I'm hearing and seeing. But my conscience won't let me. If I I find myself saying this. This is a real good time to be in the opposition. Because as a government, if you have to follow the provisions of the protocol and this bill, it's an albatross. That's what I see it as. And this is, I think I'm sympathizing with the government as far as this bill is concerned. And the protocols. All the provisions that I see in this, they got my sympathy. But if I was sitting over there, I would be trying to find a way to lessen the burden from this thing. Get some provisions, get some of the provisions renegotiated, Madam Speaker.
Premier Smith said that the amended Public Finance Management Act 2012 introduces international best practice, providing more openness and accountability on behalf of the government to the residents of the territory, and government's commitment to making the necessary amendments for itself rather than having them in the protocols to be policed by the UK government were in fact best for the BVI and for governments to come. Reporting for JTV News, this is Walter Barrett.